Thank you so much, Dana. Okay, so determining what route to publishing you're taking is a major, major decision that you need to think about from the very beginning. So I'm pleased to welcome Karen Strauss from Hybrid Global Publishing. It is Hybrid Global Publishing, correct? I'm not making
Hybrid
that
Global Publishing. Right.
Hybrid Global Publishing in my whatever it's called. Words are hard for me today. We are so pleased to bring a publisher as our platinum sponsor this year as a resource for everyone who's trying to determine their different routes and how they're getting there. So Karen, I'm going to not take up any more of your time. If you want to go ahead and share your screen if you have a recording. Otherwise, I will just remind everyone to please use the Q&A box for any questions so that we don't excuse me, so that we don't forget to go back and grab those. Sometimes questions get lost in the chat, and I'll be back to help you facilitate that when it's time.
That'd be great, because I do want to spend a lot of time on the questions and answers. So at the end of the presentation, ask anything. We can brainstorm anything. I see a whole bunch of things with ISBNs and all of that, and you might have more questions as we go through the presentation. But before I start to share my screen, let me tell you a little bit about Hybrid Global Publishing. I started Hybrid, as I mentioned before, to help entrepreneurs and speakers and coaches get visible and get on speaking stages, get on radio shows and podcasts, and get their stories out. So one of the things you have to know is why you're publishing a book. And we always talk about what is it that you want to accomplish by writing this book? Do you want to be a New York Times bestseller? Do you want to be a literary writer? Do you want to a lot of our people are elevating their businesses. And so by writing a book, it makes them more authoritative, gives them more credibility, and they're going to get a lot more clients and make more money by having this book. So that's who we serve. That's the community we serve. We do some fiction. We do memoir, which I love. And and kind of everything in between, but we focus on primarily on those, that kind of audience. We are a one-stop shop company, so you can come to us with an idea and we can help you as part of our program. We'll assign you a developmental editor who will work with you to develop the outline and the synopsis and the kind of the chapter headlines and the talking points where you're going to add stories. So by the end of it, you're going to be writing your book, but they're going to be helping you all along for the structure and the flow, and storytelling is a big part of any book, whether it's nonfiction or obviously it's fiction. So we start at the developmental editing phase. If you don't need that, that's fine too. You can come to us with a complete manuscript, and then we have already vetted our copy editors and our typesetters and our proofreaders and our cover designers. So we work with a lot of incredible people. And we're looking for more copy editors, so that would be great. So please connect with me here if that's something that you do. And so we talk a lot about who your market is. Who do you want to serve? Again, what do you want to accomplish by this? And then, of course, from that, we can develop a launch plan and a marketing plan for you. And we do a lot of Amazon bestseller campaigns. That's one of our most popular things that people choose. Amazon review campaigns, getting on radio shows and podcasts, getting on speaking stages. So we have a lot of breadth here and a lot of capacity to help you in every part of your journey in publishing. So with that, I'm here today to speak to you about The different approaches, I'm going to talk about 3 today. Obviously, there are more, but I'm going to talk about the main 3 as I consider them, and talk about the pros and cons of each one. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that?
Looks great. Thank you.
Great. Just trying to get everything out of the way here. There we go. All right. Publishing options. Which one should you choose? Okay, the pros and cons of traditional self-publishing and hybrid publishing. So I know there's going to be a lot of text here because I want you to really, you can take a picture of it, but there are some really key things that you need to know. So the traditional publishing, one of the advantages of traditional publishing is you're not paying anything. You're not paying editors. You're not paying cover designers. They cover all the work for editorial and for production. Marketing is interesting because actually one of my accounts, who's a retailer who I won't name, but he once said to me that traditional publishers are the marketing geniuses of the 18th century. So take it for what it is. Traditional publishers have a limited amount of how they market your book, and they do have a publicity department, and they'll send the book out for review. Their big thing is marketing to bookstores, and they have sales reps. And if that's that is something that they probably do better than hybrid, and certainly with self-publishing, unless you're a hybrid publisher with a traditional distributor, and even then that's up for question. So you do, and you might receive an advance. There are some traditional publishers that kind of share revenue with you. They don't charge you anything, but they might share revenue with you. But the main ones, the big 5, so to speak, you might receive, it could be $10,000 or $20,000 or higher than that, depending on how commercial they think your book is. So credibility. So yes, working with established publishers enhances your credibility. Yes, you get access to professional editors, designers, and marketers, but you can too, certainly with hybrid publishing, you must be able to get access to that. With self-publishing, it depends. Many of the people, certainly who are here, have been vetted by Alexa, have been, we all know here what it takes to make a professional book. But if you hire somebody on Fiverr or something like that, an editor may not know to use the Chicago Manual of Style. And that's an important distinction of how to get your book done in a professional way. Industry knowledge. Yes, publishers know what works in the market. Basically, yes. But again, they are, I think, restricted. They know what they know. And I think in 100 years, they kind of haven't widened out what they know. So take that for what it's worth. They will guide you. Yes, they do incredibly professional books. They have great resources and all of that. So that definitely is a pro. Certainly wider distribution for sure. The books are distributed to bookstores. They have sales reps calling on bookstores and libraries, and of course the international markets that you would be a part of. So, props to them certainly for that. And I think that is a major area of proness, if you will. Professional support, they provide a team of experts. Again, editors, they do have publicists on their staff. The quality of your book is stellar. Visibility, if they choose to market your book, then you're one of the lucky ones. Sometimes they just do a minimum amount. That's something, if you are thinking about going the traditional route, you must negotiate. if you can, how much marketing they're actually going to put into your book. So, I just wanted to say, no, I'll do this under cons, traditional publishing cons. You do lose creative control. So the publisher has the final say over pretty much every aspect. The cover design, obviously the marketing, who they're marketing to. They can get your opinion about things, but if they want to go a different route in terms of how they're going to market the book, that's what they're going to do. They're going to talk to their salespeople, and they're going to talk to their marketing people in terms of how they're going to launch and promote your book. You have to ask them if you want to, let's say, do a workbook, or you want to take this content and use it somewhere in a speech, or do a little pamphlet or a marketing pamphlet for people as your lead magnet. You have to ask them for permission, because they are buying the rights to your book. So you have lost control over your intellectual property rights. So that's very, very key. Again, I say here, rights ownership. Authors relinquish most of the rights to your book, and that might include, obviously, the print book and the ebook in whatever format, audiobooks, international rights, obviously domestic rights, and wherever books are sold. So you really need to be very, very careful if that's something that you are okay with. The publication timeline is like a snail's pace, because you need to get an agent. And even if you get an agent, it takes them 4 to 6 months. You need to actually write a proposal. They help you write a query letter, and then they pitch the book itself to traditional publishers, and that could take 4 to 6 months easily. Then, if they do sign you up with a contract and an agreement, it normally takes about 18 months to 2 years to get your book published. So if you're in an area of business or finance or computers or something where data changes daily or weekly, this might not be the best option for you, because your information might be obsolete by the time you are publishing it. I have a client actually who is working on a book. He has a climate change funding investment firm, and so sustainability, it's all about sustainability, and he's writing a book because he wants to be the first in the marketplace to actually write about what that is. He's one of the first firms that are actually doing this about and finding companies where you can invest in for green and sustainability and solar and all of those companies. So it's important and imperative for him to get his book out in the next few months. It's a very competitive process. Most submissions actually are rejected. It makes it very, very difficult for new authors to secure a deal. So just be aware of that it could take a lot of time, 6 to 9 months, before you even find out if a traditional publisher is going to accept your book. I want to mention that the current state that we're in, we have exactly 5 major traditional publishers. So those are the big 5. Random House merged with Penguin, and Penguin USA, and Penguin in, I think it was 2013, 2014. So they are together as one. And then that's Hachette, and then HarperCollins, and then Macmillan, and then Simon & Schuster. And then you've got like 1 million imprints within those. And it used to be each imprint would compete with each other. They were independent. And to some degree they are, but because they're pulling in the purse strings, people are now not so much, the imprints are not so much competing with each other. All this to say that there are less and less choices to be publishing in a traditional manner. There are definitely some good indies out there, not as many as before, but Skyhorse and then Bella, and you've got some, some others, Workman. So you've got some interesting independents out there, but again, not as much as we had 10 years ago. So the next thing I want to talk about is self-publishing. In self-publishing, the pro of self-publishing, you retain complete control over every aspect of your book. So in a way that's really nice, you get to be the director of your own destiny, right? So that on the editing side, on the marketing side, how the book looks itself, the design from the cover to the interior, you get to choose and make that final decision. And obviously the content, nobody's going to edit you out. And so you can leave the content in as much as you want or edit it down as much as you want as well. That, of course, is fraught with issues as well. But if you're kind of a controlling person and that's what you want, is to be the director of everything, then self-publishing might be a good route for you. It's also a great route, honestly, for fiction, particularly first-time fiction. And if you're in romance and in science fiction and mystery, Amazon is a fabulous place you could do Kindle Unlimited, where the discovery is, and that's something probably that I would recommend. Discovery is very, very high if you're a first-time author, and you could get some real credibility in terms of getting reviews and getting feedback from real-time readers. If you're writing fiction, to be honest, it's harder and harder for traditional publishers to pick that up, because a lot of mystery writers and science fiction and romance are using Kindle Unlimited. So the readers of those genres are using Kindle Unlimited because they can pay a certain amount per year and then get unlimited content, unlimited books to read, and they gobble those books up like crazy. They want to read everything in romance. If they like historical fiction, I know I'm a big fan of historical fiction. I want to read everything, right? And so joining Kindle Unlimited gives me that option. So that's one thing I'd recommend if you are a fiction writer. Consider the self-publishing route. Nonfiction is a little bit different. Obviously, it's guaranteed publication. No one's going to decide for you, no, your book isn't quite right for us. It doesn't fit into our key category. Your book is going to be published as long as you follow kind of the rules of what the self-publishing companies are telling you, the different kinds of files and what the cover, the cover needs to look like, and the technical aspects of your files. Obviously, faster publication, you control the timeline. So not often, but all the time, publishing is much faster than traditional routes. As long as you have finished the book, right? You still have to work with editors and cover designers and proofreaders and get your book done in such a way where it's printable. And so that might take you 6 to 9 months. Who knows how fast or how slow you'll be going in getting a complete manuscript. But once you do, you can upload it to Publish Drive or Draft to Digital, Smashwords, Ingram Spark, Kindle Direct Publishing. I wanted to say Hulu. No, Hulu is not. But what's the one I'm thinking of? Is it Hulu? Anyway, There are lots of other self-publishing, Book Baby, self-publishing operations that will help you, but most of the time you kind of have a finished manuscript. You need to have a finished manuscript. So certainly you get higher royalties. Now, everybody seems to think that you get 100% of the royalties. That's actually not true in self-publishing, because Amazon and other platforms are going to take a commission. Sometimes it's 30%, so you get 70%. With Amazon, depending what the book, how much the book costs, particularly I know, for instance, in the ebook, if you price it above $10, you're only going to get 35% royalty. If you price it below $10, you'll get 70% of the royalties. So be careful about that and look at the fine print of each publishing platform to see how much royalty you take. Some platforms might charge you a certain amount per book, and then they don't take any royalties. So the models are changing, so make sure you look at each of the agreements and then determine what's right for you. Obviously, you retain the rights. You keep all the rights to your book. That's a big, big plus. And you can explore various distribution channels. Ingram Spark, obviously, being one of them, and lots of others have. All the people I mentioned here, they have their own distribution channels. But to be honest, most people, for the print book particularly, will use Ingram, because Ingram is the largest distribution platform to the world. And they have 40,000 retailers and wholesalers and libraries that they distribute to all over the world. So many people, like Amazon, actually, if you click on expanded distribution, actually they use Ingram's distribution and not their own. So here are some I just wanted to also mention fun facts. So there are some self-publishing books that actually became very famous. And when I was doing my research for this, I found out that Paradise Lost by John Milton, who published his book in 1667. So Milton actually ran ads in local newspapers, and then he asked those subscribers to pick up the cost for production. So that might have been the first crowdfunding program that we ever heard of. Before it was called crowdfunding, but essentially he asked other people to pay for his book so that he could self-publish his book. And obviously we don't, his book went on to become a classic and is taught in high schools and in colleges everywhere in the world. Sense and Sensibility, one of my favorite books, and Jane Austen is one of my favorite authors. In 1811, she couldn't find a publisher, so she paid a publisher to print her book, and she paid for the production herself because nobody would publish her book. She wound up actually making a profit of what would be equivalent of $10,000 in profit, $10,000 in profit that would be equivalent to today's money, currency. But because the book was so successful, she wound up subsequently finding a publisher for the next book, Emma, and then she became very, very popular. And then she became so popular that she went back to self-publishing, which I found really interesting. And of course, that she also is taught in many, many schools and is beloved by many, many people. So I just wanted to, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Because he was already achieved fame, he decided to cut out the middleman, which I find hilarious, and he published it himself, much like Stephen King did, because he had all the publishing contracts in the world and he made a fortune, and the publisher made a fortune, and he decided, why did I need the middleman? So he decided to publish his books himself. And then finally, What Color Is Your Parachute? That was published in 1972. My old boss actually discovered that book. He self-published the book. My old boss, Erwin Glickus, he was at Simon and Schuster at the time, read the book, loved it, made him an offer, and then it's wound up selling more than 10 million copies worldwide. So yes, can you get famous? We know 50 Shades of Grey and other self-publishing books that went on to sell millions of copies. That's not always the case, obviously, but just so you know, I just thought it was fun to mention the huge successes of self-publishing. Okay, so the cons. Did I go through the cons? Sorry about that, guys. I think I'm losing it too. Right, so the cons. You are responsible of self-publishing. You are responsible for all the expenses, all the editing, the cover design, the marketing. There's no industry support. If you're alone, you have to manage everything again. So being in total control may be a pro, but I also think it could be a negative, that if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know who to hire. I, for instance, would not do my own taxes because I'm not good at that. And so if I did my own taxes, you would wind up visiting me in jail because I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't even know what questions to ask. So I hire a professional to do that. And that's what I recommend you do. Even if you're self-publishing, there are lots of great editors and cover designers and website designers and marketing people like Jennifer, who certainly can help you do the launch, but you need to make sure you find those vetted people, which is why a community like Women in Publishing that Alexa has set up is a fabulous place to find already vetted and incredible industry support people. There is limited distribution. It's very challenging to get into bookstores itself. So be wary of that, particularly if you're just publishing through KDP. That we talked about this before. Barnes and Noble and the independent bookstores, if you have like a KDP Amazon logo on it and an ISBN, they don't want to put any money in they don't want to put any Amazon money in their pockets. They're direct competitors. They will not carry your book. So that's something you need to consider if bookstores is something that are important to you. There is a perception out there. There are certain biases. I do know that if you want to get on speaking stages, even some radio shows and podcasts, there is some bias to if your book is self-published, but if you have a great cover and you have a great talk and a great value proposition, all those things, I think you can overcome that. But just be wary that self-publishing, there still is some bias out there about self-publishing. So the last that I want to talk about is hybrid publishing, which is near and dear to my heart. I decided to create a hybrid publishing program because I feel that it's the best of both worlds. You get professional support with creative control. You own the rights 100% to your book. Basically, when you work with us, you are giving us the exclusive right to publish the book. We don't own anything. And so that's important. So you can go to a webinar. You can do a workbook if you like on your own. You can take some of your book and use it as a lead magnet and do some giveaways when you are in a conference and talking. So you don't have to ask our permission to do anything. And I think that's really important. You do get broader distribution, I think, than working with self-publishing. Often hybrid publishers will provide you with better distribution and better networks than in self-publishing. Credibility, again, there are some literary agents and there are people out there. Hybrid is still fairly new to the industry. It's 15, 20 years, which isn't a lot of time. And some people do consider it, but lots of people, depending on how much distribution you have and how much publicity and marketing and what the cover looks like, all of those things. There's no reason why I know that we can get you into select bookstores by our enabling distribution with what we call the trade discount. So the trade discount is 50 or 55%, and it's returnable. And there are all sorts of rules, but that will make it available at Ingram Wholesale, and then Barnes and Noble and Books A Million and all the other independent bookstores then will be happy to buy your book because they can buy it through Ingram. Ingram Spark will then print the book and send it directly to the bookstore. So it works just like a traditional bookstore, traditional publishing company. And I don't think any of us in this day and age want our books to be in 500 or 600 bookstores if you're not going to have that national, international publicity and that huge marketing campaign behind you. Start local, then you can go global. But starting local and become famous in those local markets is my personal opinion and professional opinion about how we can start to grow your audience. Higher royalties. This is a really key one. Hybrid publishers offer higher royalties, and you need to check that. We, for instance, offer you 80% of our net revenue. And so, as you'll see, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Independent Book Publishers Association, IBPA. It's a great independent organization, and they have a big list of their criteria for what makes up a credible hybrid publisher. I'm going to briefly go through that with you in a minute, but do check that out. And one of those things is a hybrid publisher must offer royalties of 50% or more. What are the cons? Yes, you do have to pay upfront costs. Sometimes there are collaborative publishers that will share the costs with you. Many and most hybrid publishers might offer you a program. I know we have a program where we talk about a custom program for you. What do you need? Developmental editing, what kind of help do you need? And so from soup to nuts, we can help you, but that absolutely will cost you some money. But when you think about it, if you're a entrepreneur or you're a coach and you're writing a book to up-level your business, then, how many clients does it take to actually make back that money? And it might be two. It might be just 2 or 3 more clients, so that might be worth it. Varying agreements, and that's something you definitely need to check out. Ask for an agreement when you're talking to a potential hybrid publisher. Be careful to review the terms. Sometimes they're not fair to you, and it's leaned towards the publisher. So definitely check that out. Not all manuscripts by a reputable hybrid publisher will be selective in what they take. So definitely talk to them about what genres they support. And so don't waste your time in submitting something to a hybrid publisher and they're only doing nonfiction or the other way around. Okay, so I know this looks like a lot. I'm not going to go through this all, but this is IBPA's hybrid publishing criteria that they must define. The hybrid publisher must define a mission and a vision. They must vet all submissions. They must have submission guidelines and publish work that align with their standards. That's why they must have a mission and a vision. Negotiable, clear contracts. So again, it's up to you as the author, buyer beware about talking to hybrid publishers. It's a little bit of a pioneer zone still out there. So you just need to be careful. I think this has been hugely helpful with IBPA making these kinds of rules to help you when you're ready to shop around. All hybrid publishers must have their own imprints and their own ISBNs. They're not asking you to supply your ISBN. And ensure editorial design and production quality. The hybrid books must be as well produced as traditional publishing, distribution services. And again, here's that on number 9, pay authors a higher than standard royalty, and that's over 50% of net profits. So again, everybody is different, so look for that number and above, and exactly what they're offering. So finding the right path to reach your journey is really critical, as Alexa mentioned. It helps your mindset too. You have to know, you should know what path you want to take before you write, or certainly before you finish the book, so that you have and do a lot of research into all paths possible. So again, I won't go. I want to leave time for questions. So I think I went through traditional publishing, self-publishing, hybrid publishing. I'd love to take your questions. And I just want to thank you all. Please download my free gift, which is Karen's $1 million Rolodex, which will include hundreds and hundreds of vendors, of website designers, of copy editors, of coaches, of people who can help you, cover designers, of people who can help you along the journey, printers, and these are vetted by me, people that I've used throughout my publishing journey, so that you can be sure you're getting the right person. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd love to take some questions.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting more stuffed up by the minute here. There's not a lot of questions in the actual Q&A box, so if anybody has a question that you want after that wonderful presentation, thank you for explaining all of that so clearly. Please drop those in there. Also, are you in the New York area?
Yes, I'm in New York City.
Okay, so I would love to first discuss what's happening in the chat right now. My response to Pat would be, don't take that until you've gone and done your own research. But do you know of anything that oh my gosh, in New York
What's the
City that
question?
people can't get their books into libraries or schools at all in New York City if they're uh self-published?
Um, no, I think that you certainly can, but it's a much bigger. You have to go through a submission process. You do have to offer a certain discount. There are definitely rules to follow. So no, I don't see a rule or anything like that about getting into libraries for self-publishers.
I think it's always a case by case situation, and just because one author is turned down, I would not throw in the towel and say that that means nobody can.
Well,
Um,
Liz, I just want to answer. She said, I tried, was told. This is what happens when they just don't want to talk to you, right? That's the overall. I mean, I didn't mean to, if they decide, first of all, librarians are very choosy about what they decide to bring in for their library. And the key thing is getting 3 reviews. That's the key thing for everybody. Kirkus, Forward, Library Journal, Publishers Weekly. There are certain trade magazines. You need to get those reviews, and good reviews, before acquisitions librarians are actually going to consider bringing your book in.
that is 100% correct, and I've heard that from multiple people, including the American Library Association folks. So yes, trade reviews if you're trying to get into libraries and even bookstores are really, really important. Okay. Karen, do you also offer book coaching services or helping through the process of revising, etc.?
Yes, both of those. We definitely offer book coaching. That would be a separate thing, but certainly we can talk about that. depending on what you want. And then what was the other thing?
Book coaching or helping with revisions.
And yes, we do that. We do that a lot where people might bring a self-published book to us, and they want to do a second edition or they want to do a workbook or something like that, where or the book maybe wasn't particularly well edited the first time. So we definitely can help you with that.
All right. This was back on a question on traditional publishing, but who's getting the 6 to 7 figure advances that we read about?
Great question. So here's who's getting it. Celebrities, people who are influencers who have 100,000 followers on TikTok and on Instagram. Those people, I mean, unfortunately, the salespeople, in traditional publishing structure, you have what they call an editorial meeting every week. Editors present the books that they would like to publish. You have a sales team and a marketing team that are in this. And the sales team and the marketing team, but primarily the sales team, say, we can't sell this book because they don't have a following already. So they're not visible already, and we can't help them. So we won't be able to sell the book. And they want to sell at least 30,000 copies of a book if that's in their mindset already. So if you're nowhere and you don't have a social media platform of all of those, all of those things, you're going to have a really, really hard time. And so the 6 figure advances are for people who've been on the New York Times bestseller list already, and obviously the celebrities and the influencers.
They're betting on your ability to be able to sell a lot of books. So a first-time author is rarely the one who's getting those types of things, unless you're famous. Okay, do you think there's a difference between indie publishing using a platform and self-publishing local bookstores? I'm not sure I understand that question at all.
Me neither.
Okay, we'll come if you could please
Elaborate?
clarify and come back, we'll get back to your question. Oh, we've got several editors that would like to know how to contact you to be added to your pool.
Oh, great. You can contact me. You can go to my website, Hybrid Global Publishing, hybridglobalpublishing.com. Write to me at Karen@hybridglobalpublishing.com.
Wonderful. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, we have lots of editors in our community, so that's great.
We need you. Yeah.
Charlene says, I hope I pronounced that right. Charlene, I write faith-based books and have self-published all of my books. The only Christian traditional publisher that I know is Charisma Media. What is your advice for my genre?
Well, there's actually a lot of traditional publishers in Christian publishing. I used to work with them. I used to work with all of them when I was on the road and commission rep. So there's Baker Book Publishing, Baker Bookhouse. There is InterVarsity Press. So I would just Google, Christian publishers, right? And so you can do that. And I'm not sure if this still also Ingram. If you sign up with something like Ingram Spark, they have they bought a wholesaler a long time ago called Spring Arbor, and Spring Arbor is all about Christian books, and they virtually sell all Christian books to all Christian bookstores in the country. So if you want to get yourself situated with, you can self-publish with Ingram Spark. Again, you still have to do everything yourself and then upload it all. But then you can actually talk to somebody at Ingram Spark and make sure that you get yourself listed not only just with Ingram Spark, but with Spring Arbor as well.
Wonderful. Okay, Joyce says, I have an outline for a fiction fantasy book. It's my first book and I don't know anything about publishing. You're in the right place. But I am interested in guidance through writing, editing, and publishing. Can you help with that?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, everything is a custom situation, right? We want to know your situation, what are your goals, all of that. And then we have resources that we can tell you to try out, or we can work with you on a case by case basis.
Okay, Charlene, Allison says she knows several Christian publishers. If you want to reach out to her, Allison Wells, maybe drop your information in the chat so that she knows how to get a hold of you. Let's see. Okay, yes, we've posted the link multiple times. You should be able to see it. Our link on our sponsor page goes directly to our Rolodex. So if you go to womeninpublishingsummit.com/hybrid, that should get you to the right place. I'll double check that, and make sure. But
Right,
otherwise the hybrid global
Okay.
publishing.com/gift is the
Right.
direct link.
Dana, my email is, I may have said it
Works.
wrong, Karen@hybridglobalpublishing.com.
Okay, perfect. Let's see here. I skipped over a couple that we'll swing back to because this is a big question. Kate has lots of questions crammed into
Good.
this box. Okay. Once you start with a hybrid publisher, can you move back to self? That's question one.
Of course. You can always go back and forth.
And I would tell you, if a hybrid publisher has in their contract that they require first rights, which means they're saying that if you write and to sell another book that they require that they have the right to say no to it, then that's a red flag and run as fast as you can. Because nobody who's charging you for a service can tell you you have to continue publishing with them.
I'm
Um,
glad you said that. We
right.
have, we have a 2-year contract, and again, if you get a deal with one of the big 5 publishers, or there's, for whatever reason, you want to terminate your contract, we talk about that, and we want you to be happy. In the end, we want you to be successful, and if you feel that's going somewhere else, or you got a big deal, with somebody else, I just say go with God.
It's
Or
a
whomever.
long-term
Who
commitment. So
knows?
most of us in this sphere, just like Karen, like really want it to work out. So if your manuscript is complete and you have your own ideas about marketing to your niched audience, can you help refine and help execute that plan?
That's the marketing of it? Yes. Yes, we can. We have lots of resources to help you do that. And we have a lot of partners, including audiobook partners and publicists and people who do launches, social media people, that kind of thing.
Wonderful. Okay, and the final question, I'm not quite sure. The first part is easy. How do you interact with Amazon? But then how does that impact the ISBN? I'm assuming she means are you providing the ISBN?
Oh, are you asking me if we provide the
Yes.
ISBN?
Uh-huh.
Yes, we have hybrid global publishing. We adhere to all the principles that IBPA has laid out. And I've always been, it's important for a publisher to have their own ISBNs, because one of the things is the prefix of the ISBN belongs to me, Hybrid Global. It identifies who I am and which books I publish to bookstores and libraries and wholesalers, so they can type in a prefix and all Hybrid Global Publishing books will show up. So that's really important to be registered at the Library of Congress, and all of that. So all of that's having your own ISBNs are important.
Okay. Does your company work with lifestyle books that are illustrated with photos?
So we don't do as many of those. We do some. It's not our sweet spot, I will say, because that's a real specialty. And there are other people I think that might do a better job in terms of what they do, how they do it, and how they market it.
Great. Is there a better time of the year to launch a self-published book?
I would I'm not sure about that. However, the holidays, Christmas, even though there's more competition, but more people are buying books and looking for them as gifts. Mother's Day is the second biggest holiday. in the country. But then also go to, look at the holidays, President's Day, Women's International Marketing Week, Black History Month, Earth Day, and Grandparents' Day in September, all the diseases, right? Breast cancer, Alzheimer's disease. So if your book fits into those categories, that would be a good time to launch. If you're writing a Jewish book, Jewish Book Month is November. And so you may be able to really speak to a lot of organizations. Detroit and Texas and DC and New York have big book fairs for Jewish books. So you can Google, there's like an events calendar. And I would check that out. And there's like an event for everything and just work with that.
Awesome. Lots of people want to know how to reach out to you directly. So can you let us know how you want people to communicate? I said sign up for the Rolodex and reply to the email, but maybe you have a preferred email that you'd like them to have.
You can also, if you really want to, kbstrauss@gmail.com. That seems to be, let's see, I'll type it in here. KB
I got it
Strauss.
for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Perfect. You're a faster typist than me. So reach out there, and then if I can send you my calendar link, and then just feel free to book an appointment through my calendar.
Thank you. Does Hybrid Global do children's picture books?
Yes, we do.
Awesome. Okay. And this one may be one that I have to answer for you. I don't know how familiar you are with Your Book is Your Hook, but someone wants to know what the difference is between Hybrid Global and Your Book is Your Hook. The biggest difference is Your Book is Your Hook is not a publisher. They do a lot of things to help authors find agents, publishers, self-publishing things, uh, all the stuff around rights for movies and films. But Karen is actually a Hybrid Global Publishing is actually a hybrid publisher, correct?
Correct.
I know that piece
Good
of it,
distinction.
but
Yeah.
correct that's the biggest difference. Okay. And if you go over, I'm so sorry, you guys. I know this is hard to listen to, but if you go to womenandpublishingsummit.com/sponsors, you can look through all of them and go to their pages and see the difference. And you'll hear from all of our sponsors over the course of the next year. So you can start comparing and contrasting and see who are but if you're looking for a solution to help you from nuts to bolts, hybrid might be a good place to start. But check out their website. And Karen, if there's anything you want to add to that, please do.
No, I just think the key thing to know is what's your purpose in writing a book? What is your goal? And how and again, kind of just checking out how you want to publish. So I would speak to a lot of people.
If anybody knows and can tell Michelle about any self-publishing assist. Oh, a self-publishing company, Michelle. If you're looking for self-publishing assist, almost any self-publishing assist company can help you regardless of the genre. So Karen, do you also offer self-publishing assist?
We do, actually. We do.
Okay.
That was a service we started a few years ago. So if you have your own account, KDP account, or you want to publish under your own imprint, we can absolutely help you, and provide our editors and provide our resources to you as well if you need that.
Wonderful. So start there, Michelle, and see, and then you can look around at other companies as well. Okay. All right. We have made it through. Thank goodness, because I don't know
You
how
have
much
been
more I
through.
have.
I hope you survive.
Now my throat's like starting to so anyway, thank you for bearing with me. I know it's hard to listen to somebody who's hacking and stuffed up and all that, so I appreciate it. Thank you again, Karen. This was a fantastic webinar. Please make sure that you go over and grab the Rolodex because that I can tell you right now is one of the most important things you'll want to utilize is a list of people that can help you and work with you. And of course, reach out to Karen if you have specific questions. She'll be in the community. We will make sure that you hear about her more. And of course, we'll be at the summit so she can talk to you in our sponsor interactive booths. You'll actually be able to get in a Zoom room where you can interact live and in person with Karen and ask your questions. So thanks again, everyone. Any final
Everybody,
closing words?
from me.
Yes. Sorry, I talked over that.
I would just say, keep writing. I'm so impressed that all of you are writing books, and it's like a muscle, right? And so you want to work that muscle out like every single day. And so, yeah, so I'm thrilled. I can't wait to meet as many of you as I can and just have a dialogue. And if I can help you in any way, that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. And we'll be sending out information on how to access the replay in our emails. So keep a lookout for that. Go grab her Rolodex, and we'll see you all at our next event. Thank you.
Thanks, Alexa.
Bye.